This is a Mortarbox Media podcast. For more podcasts and to learn how we can help you create your own, visit mortarboxmedia.com.
Welcome to Women AF Podcast, a podcast hosted by three friends who are experts at life, coming to tell you how we did everything right, and so can you.
That doesn't sound right.
Oh, no.
Oh, I think I read the intro to a different podcast because it's definitely not us. But today we are joined by a super special guest, a fan of ours who had a great idea for an episode. And so we thought, what better way to talk about it than to bring her on the show? So we'd like to introduce you to Kaley.
Hi.
Hi, Kaley. How are you?
I am great. You know, this is the highlight of my day today. Probably the highlight of 2021. Hopefully it goes up from here after 2020.
Yeah.
I have a good feeling about it.
The bar was set pretty low, right? Like, there's not a whole lot that.
Great.
Oh, good. Well, how's everyone's week going?
Just fine.
Oh, good. So clearly by that awkward silence, everyone's having a great week.
That was fun.
I mean, pretty average, pretty pandemic-y and working from homey as usual. I did have a little bit of news. I wanted to call back a few episodes to our resolutions for 2021 episode.
Yes.
And do you remember what I said I wanted to do? I don't know if there was more than one thing, but I definitely said I wanted to read books.
Read books.
For fun.
Read books.
And who is crushing 2021? Because I read a book.
Oh, yeah.
Did you get on Goodreads?
Yes, I am on there. Danny, you and I are friends automatically.
Oh,
Nicole,
cool.
I can't even find you on there.
Oh.
So I'm not sure. We'll have to figure that out. But apparently I've been on Goodreads for many, many years. And just Didn't remember. Yeah. So
I probably friend request as soon as I friend requested you on Facebook, which was like maybe 10 minutes after we met.
Yep.
I think I probably shortly thereafter friend requested you also on Goodreads.
Oh, okay.
That's how I know really if someone should be my friend or not.
That makes sense. Okay. So I don't know. I felt really good about that, and I wanted to share with you guys.
Great. I don't mean to burst your bubble, but I
Uh-oh.
need to know, was this green eggs and ham or was it an actual novel this year?
I am not counting books I read with my kids. Thank you. No, it's an actual novel. Thank you very much. And it and the type was really small.
Oh.
No pictures.
Oh man. What book?
What? Oh, Beautiful Ruins.
I don't know anything about it.
Oh my. I got excited for a second, but I really liked it. So.
It sounds familiar to me.
Okay, read it.
Do it.
I will.
Good.
My kids are still at home.
No.
You know.
Sorry.
It's all right.
Sorry.
Week 25, right? How many weeks has it been?
I think this is week 5 or 6.
That is so many weeks.
It is. I didn't even bother telling anybody at work this week because I'm like, whatever. I'm just like rolling with the cast. So today I was on a video and like you can see little curly blonde hair bouncing just like behind me on the couch, and I'm just like, oh, whatever. And it was in a Zoom meeting that I accidentally I hit the wrong button and I left the meeting, and we were all on camera and there was only like 4 of us, and it was with a vendor, and I hit the wrong button. So the kids bouncing accidentally, then they leave. I hit the wrong button. I leave the meeting and I was like, oh, I don't even know how I did that. Then I went to join again. And then I had to wait for them to like let me back into the meeting. And then I come into the meeting and like, you know, like in person when you walk into a room and you can tell everyone's been like talking about you because I'll just, it was like the virtual equivalent of that. You know, I was just like still on mute, like kids running around, and I'm just like, it's fine. I'm a mess. Just don't worry about it.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. So that's my week.
Sounds frazzling.
Yeah.
Frazzling. Nicole, Kaley. Tell us something. Tell us something good.
I, in true Women AF fashion, took it upon myself to fire up the snowblower for the first time ever.
Look at you.
I love it.
Impressive.
Yeah, sometimes if you want things done, you just got to do them yourself. Am I right? Can I
Yeah.
Love it.
Woo, that's awesome.
How'd it go?
It went pretty well, but now, unfortunately, there's that expectation that I can, in fact, take matters into my own hands.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's
Go to the
true.
driveway.
Yeah.
So, good
Yeah.
news, bad news.
If it makes you feel better, it might be a future skill that's pretty handy because this week, my husband and I argued about who got to go out and shovel.
I was going to say the same thing. I used to argue with my husband about who got to go out and mow because I didn't want to be in with the kids any longer. So
It could be a good future skill.
it's an escape.
That's good to know. I'll have to keep that in my back pocket.
Definitely.
I love it. Okay, so for me, I'm going to call back to, I don't remember what episode, but I talked about how I need to have a root canal.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Okay,
Yeah.
I got a root canal. Has anyone got a root canal here?
Carrie and Adam.
Okay. So, I have dental anxiety. I haven't been for a few years. Scared to death.
And by a few, you mean
8 or 9. It's fine.
okay.
So
Gross.
I know. And 2 pregnancies. Like, pregnancy does does horrid things to your teeth. Anyway. So I went and got my root canal. I found out one of the lucky people who have extra nerves down in my jaw. So that's fun.
Fantastic.
And then I was so scared that my whole body started to shake and like my heart was racing. I thought I was going to pass out. Like I was just stressing myself out so much. Anyway, it was fine. We did the thing. My tooth, now there's like a toothpick in there. I don't understand it completely, but I'm good. I went and talked to my mom afterwards and I kind of played it off like it was fine. Like I shook a little bit, like I was nervous. It's fine. And my mom goes, yeah, my reaction to any sort of like Novocaine, lidocaine, any cane is I shake uncontrollably and my heart races and I feel like I'm going to pass out. And I'm sitting there thinking like, well, shit, was I making myself that nervous or do I actually have a reaction to this thing that like enhanced it even more?
Oh, no.
So now, and then I guess it was the same stuff because I equivocated. That's not a word.
Equated?
There, yeah. I equated it to like like when you gave birth, the shock that you feel and like you start shaking and stuff. And then when they stitch you up, they give you like a lidocaine or something to help you like not feel the stitches. And I
You're talking about a C-section?
No, I'm talking about just a natural birth and you need a stitch down there.
Because
What
I
did
know
they give you?
I know when they do C-sections, they do something that makes you shake. I know that. I didn't have
Oh,
one.
really?
They do
Okay.
something that makes you shake.
They give you something.
And they shake the table while they're setting you up. I'm pretty
Yes.
sure that's
Special
how
technique.
C-sections work.
Maybe some of our listeners can chime in here on social and tell us what in the hell we're talking about.
'Cause
We don't know.
I don't know. But it's like a local anesthetic that they like give you a shot of it so it numbs
Yes.
the area, which I
Yes.
think is like a lidocaine,
Okay.
which is the same cane family. And so I equated that same feeling of like I was shaking, my heart was racing, like I felt like I was in shock while I was going through this root canal. And now I'm thinking like, well, maybe I just made myself feel like crap because
Well, that's a fun guessing game for next time you have to have something done.
Yeah, I
Right?
mean, really, the only way you're going to know is to take some more of the Kane family.
just test it out. Yeah, it's fine.
Interesting.
Yes,
Adam,
Adam.
you may speak.
This is tangentially
A tangent?
yeah, there you go.
Related.
I'm going to share, yes, tangentially related. I'm going to share the screen with you all.
Oh, no.
This is how much dental anxiety I have because this was me taking a selfie in the middle of my root canal.
Oh, fabulous.
What are we looking at? What is this metal thing?
They put like a sheet over and then like isolate the area with this like plastic sheet.
Yeah, I've never been quite sure what that like metal ring is. I don't know.
It's a little glam.
I'm very
Glammed
familiar.
you up.
That's pretty amazing.
Classes that they gave me are the best. So that's my contribution today.
That was
Yes.
cool.
I like
And
it.
as I accidentally missed in our intro, we're also medical experts. I don't know if anyone caught on. So
We have it all together. We're medical experts. You know, it's just rebranding. It's fine.
yeah, it's a good time.
Dear.
So the topic we're going to get into today, which I am actually really excited about, is kind of not yet 30. So kind of you're not a baby adult, if that's a thing. Like you're not brand new to adulthood. You're not quite in your 30s, not quite married, but planning on getting married. No kids yet, not your first job, maybe your second. Kind of what to expect, what to do. Kaley, did I get that topic right? Or did I?
Since it's Kaylee's topic,
Since it's Kaley's topic, why don't you validate that I explained that right or do a better job than I just did?
No, I think you nailed it, Danny. I'm in this weird stage of life and I need my Women AF fam to give me some advice because I'm kind of in that betweener state, right? I mean, I'm not quite 30, but I'm not 21 anymore. I'm in the weird part of my life where half of my friends are married, half of them aren't. Half have kids, half of them don't. Some of us are drowning in debt, some of us aren't. Some of us are renters, some of us are homeowners, some of us are still living with our parents. So it's a really interesting time to be alive. And, you know, it's great because I don't have a ton of real responsibilities yet, but in other ways it can be a really hard stage of life too, especially professionally because you're no longer the new kid on the block, so there are some expectations, but you still don't know what the heck you're doing. You're still learning and building your resume, and there's a lot to learn in this stage of life. So I'm looking to you to help me figure it all out. No pressure.
No pressure. We will try not to mess up your life.
We are so appreciative of everyone's support of this podcast, and especially our Patreon supporters. You've been keeping us going. If you would love to get a chance to watch the behind-the-scenes videos of our episodes, get some exclusive merch, or see some of our funny outtakes, join our Patreon page. For as little as $1 a month, you can sign up to help support this podcast, and you get some really good exclusive content and goodies. Just visit patreon.com/womenafpodcast to become an insider for as little as $1 a month. And then send us a picture or tag us in a social media post of you wearing your sticker and merch. We'd love to see it.
And we're back with our hopefully great life advice, but mostly it'll probably be like a don't do what we did situation. It's usually how we give advice. Right? Maybe?
Yes.
Is that just me?
Yeah, no. That sounds just about right.
Yeah, I will say when you were explaining kind of the topic at first, Kaley, I felt so much anxiety with this phase of life because like you're right, you're at that phase where you have a lot of 5-year goals, but yet you've already done a lot with your life too. Like you're in that weird in between phase.
Yeah. And social media doesn't make it any easier, right? You're scrolling and you're watching everybody's highlight reel and filtered reality all the time. It makes it hard to not think about the fact that maybe I'm behind on where I should be. And I don't know if that's a Midwest reality, because if I was in a different part of the country, maybe I'd be laughing at the thought of, gosh, when my parents were 28, they had 3 kids and they had it all figured out. If I was in New York, I wouldn't be saying that. But being in the Midwest, there are these pressures to move on with your life and have kids by a certain time and have a fulfilling marriage and a great career. And it can be very anxiety inducing. You're right.
I do feel like there's like this attitude in the Midwest that like by the time you're 30, your whole life plan should be set. You should have everything figured out. You should know what's going on. You should be with your partner. 2.5 kids and a dog and a house and no debt and a college graduate. And I don't know, that's a lot of pressure before you're even 30.
Yeah, tell me about it.
So what do you think is the thing that scares you the most out of the phase that you're going into of life?
That's a good question. And I don't know if it's a ton of fear, because at any point you can look back 5-10 years ago and give your former self advice, and the things that seemed really important or scary no longer seem scary in hindsight. And so I know 5-10 years from now I'll be thinking the same thing about my 27-year-old self. But what kind of worries me, or I guess makes me a little nervous, is to think about all of these huge life changes that are really going to change who I am as a person over the next 5-10 years, and hope that the people I care about still stick around through all of those changes, and that I don't lose who I am now in the process of becoming a wife, hopefully a mother, or growing as a professional, that I don't lose this sense of Kaley now, but just continue to enhance and grow as a person while taking on the many roles that are going to hit me pretty quickly and change everything about my life.
Yeah. You said, actually, it's funny, you said a lot of things and that I want to talk about. And specifically, you talked about how everything will change. And I remember before getting married and before having kids, having people tell me that. Actually, when I was engaged, one of my mom's friends, I was going out, to dinner with some girlfriends of mine, and my mom's friend was like, "Oh, better do it now, because once you're married, you're never going to go out with your friends again." And I was like, yeah, that's really a weird thing to say to me. And I have to say that wasn't a true statement. I mean, I still go out with my girlfriends. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm concerned for that person in her marriage, maybe. Seems weird.
Yes, I could say a lot about that, but I'm not.
Can I ask you, Kaley? So you said that you were recently engaged, right?
Yeah,
so
November.
Oh, exciting!
Very
Congratulations!
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Super fun.
Yeah, kind of. And not so much. Trying to plan things during a pandemic. It's a little interesting, but
that's true.
Sounds intense.
That's true.
Yeah,
I don't envy that at all.
I don't miss wedding planning.
I don't either. That's
the
why
wedding was so fun, but I don't miss planning it.
No.
I
did not want to get engaged purely because I did not want to plan a wedding.
Same.
Oh. But it was fine. It was fun, and it was great.
I mean, just keep in mind, it's your wedding. You can do whatever you want with it.
That is true.
If it feels like it's going in a direction you don't like, just rein it in. Rein it in.
Yeah. I'm thankful that my fiance and I are both on the same page that, we're planning for a lifelong partnership. We're not planning for an 18-hour party. So all of the work that we're putting into the planning is really minuscule in the grand scheme of things. So that's been a great mindset to have and keep us sane and grounded, because it doesn't matter if we have chicken or fish or beef or,
that's
any
true.
of those crazy things. So the outcome's going to be the same no matter what this pandemic does to the wedding plans. And so it'll be all good.
That's a perfect attitude. I love that.
Yeah.
So when you said you feel like that you'll change as a person, what does that mean to you?
Well, I'm going to change. My priorities are going to be completely different from what they are now. And the things that I'm responsible for are going to be completely different. And, I think I'm fortunate to be in a great partnership to where I don't feel like my identity has shifted a ton, but that will change in a couple of years when we've gone from truly being two independent people with our own bank accounts and our own, priorities and thoughts and views on life to really doing this whole life thing together and navigating that together as a joint couple, rather than two people living together who are in a relationship but still individual people. While I hope to not lose my individuality, I know that we're going to be more of a team and joint decision makers, and I'm not going to be able to do everything I want to do all of the time if I want to have a successful, fulfilling partnership. So, and that's something that's exciting, but it's also a little intimidating too, to know that I'm not always going to get to do the things that I want to do, or spend the money how I want to spend the money, or spend my time how I want to spend my time. So that's a little weird to think about that.
Carrie, Nicole, you both look like you're thinking things about that.
I just relate so hard. Like, and even now I feel like different people. Like, I am mom Nicole, I am wife Nicole, I am not old Nicole, but like the Nicole that is independent and like likes to draw. Like, I feel different people, but it's a beautiful thing, and like how they all mix together and how those roles kind of fluctuate. It's a beautiful thing. It's daunting when you're stepping into that like marriage role, but you'll get it.
I think it's important to make space for yourselves as individuals after you get married too, because I can say I've seen some of my friends who and not to, I mean, each relationship, you work it out how it's best for the couple, right? But I've seen some people where maybe one person really just kind of gave up their identity, and then like everything was together all the time and there was no individuality, and it ended up creating more long-term problems. And obviously, like, everything's a learning curve, and hindsight's 2020, of course. But from watching that happen, I feel like if each person just says like, hey, I'm gonna play volleyball on Thursday nights, back when people can play volleyball again, or like actually do things. I'm gonna hang out with my friends, or I'm gonna start my own podcast, and I'm gonna tap Adam to be my producer, and we're gonna have a meeting every Tuesday night, or whatever it is. I think even if it's like not like hugely time consuming, just to say like, hey, this is my time, I'm gonna do this thing. This is for me, and then like you have the space to do your thing that is for you. Like, I feel like that's super healthy, both individually and together, and I do feel like it makes such a huge difference.
Yeah, I think if the partnership is right, then there's plenty of room for two individuals to kind of live their own individual lives the way they best want to. And what you might be giving up, like you said, like you don't get to just spend whatever money on whatever you want anymore. What you're giving up in that, you're gaining so much more in just like this fun partnership where you get to find new things to want to spend your money on together, and like creating like a beautiful home, or like planning awesome trips, and it's just going to be more fun together. So I
hope so. I hope
yeah,
you're right.
yeah, you're gonna.
I'm gonna hold you to that. If that's not the case, I'm gonna be saying, Harry said.
And now there's 2 accounts that you can spend money from. Yeah. So really, like, that's better too.
Yeah.
Because that's the whole point of marriage, is to just get their money.
Yeah.
Yep.
If that's the case, I'm with the wrong person.
Me too.
Didn't we say this is good life advice? Come on.
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess kind of going off of that topic then. So you're getting married. You mentioned it sounds like you do want to have kids. You have that already in your head. What do you feel like your expectations are for the next 5 years. Like, what do you think is going to happen, or what that's going to look like? Or
Yeah, that's again a really hard question, because this brings me to another point. This is why it's so hard to be at this stage of life. Is I have friends that have 3 kids, and I have others that have been struggling with infertility for 3 years, and I have others that that's not even on their radar. So it's, again, playing that comparison game and trying to map out your own expectations for your life. Of course, I'd love in 5 years, if we're able to have a family, I'd love to start a family in that amount of time. But it's scary because I don't know if that's going to be the case. And sometimes you take those things for granted when you're planning to grow your family. It doesn't always work out in the way that you think it's going to or expect it to. So that's another weird fear, is as much as I would like to think I have my life mapped out, being uncomfortable with the fact that it's probably not going to go exactly how I have it planned out, and being okay with that, and knowing that that's just what life is, and it works out how it's supposed to. But it's a weird place to be, imagining what you think your life is going to be like in 5 years, but truly not knowing if you're ever going to get there, or at least in the timing that you want it to.
And you look at like what just happened at 2020. Like, we had expectations for this past year too, and then like shit hit the fan, and we had to adjust. Like that. I feel like that's the motto of growing up, is just fluctuating and rolling with it and just doing what you can.
But I feel like each time you roll with it, you get a little bit more resilient and better at it. And sometimes, like, those things that can blindside you end up being pretty cool in the long run, like,
yep.
Well, like, everything in my life is like I got blindsided by something, and then it ended up being better.
Example, please?
Sure. I was engaged to be married. We learned in previous episodes that was a bad idea. So then I got together with this chick who is traveling to Wisconsin. And then I told my parents I was going to go visit New York. And then I decided to stay in New York and didn't come back, which was not planned. And then I switched my job last minute. And then turned out she was kind of a lot of crazy. So then broke up with her in New York. And then I was in New York single, which I wasn't planning on it. And I kind of had like a good solid 6 months of just kind of going a little crazy on my own. And then I met this guy that was like ready to swear off dating. And then we hit it off, and then my roommate decided that they were going to move back to Canada, and I didn't have anywhere to live. And so we moved in together, and then we both lost our jobs. And then we moved back to Wisconsin in my parents' basement when I was almost 30, lived there for a couple years after we got married, which is the best way to spend the first 2 years of your marriage. And now we have a house and 2 kids and a dog.
So you're saying that's not how you mapped it out?
Not at
when you were like 18, that wasn't like your whole life plan?
No. Mm-mm.
Oh, okay, I see.
And did I tell you I was originally going to school to be a music pastor?
Yeah. Well, that seems like worlds away.
Now I do search engine optimization. So
kind of the same.
Yeah, right. It's basically the same. So, I mean, but I just think all the things I originally had, back when I was like 17, right? That I was like, oh, this will be great. I'm going to do these things. Didn't work out. But now I look back and I'm like, I'm really glad that those things did not work out, because I don't think I would have been happy.
Sure. Yeah. Like we were talking about the whole Midwestern expectation of settling down and having kids and just, by the book. That was what I wanted. I wanted to like find my guy and get married and then have kids, and it was going to be adorable and sweet. And it took me just so long to find my guy, like that. My life definitely didn't go as I had pictured it. And guess what? It turned out great. I had more time to do all sorts of crap, and it was great. And I wouldn't trade it now. I wouldn't trade waiting till later in life to get married and have the kids. So it's just kind of, you take what life brings you and you just make it good.
You just do, right?
Do it.
Yeah.
And I mean, we've known you now for a long time, a whole 30 minutes of solid talking. So I feel like we're super good friends now. And I can say it seems like you have a really good head on your shoulders. And you seem like someone who I would imagine rolls with the punches really well.
Yeah, you don't know me all that well. No, I'm very, very type A.
Okay.
Which makes it even scarier, right? Because, like I said, hopefully, if I am getting what I want out of life in the next 5 years, my world is going to be rocked in ways that I don't even know, because I don't know. I have these expectations for what marriage and motherhood and professional growth and success looks like. But truthfully, I don't know anything. And I think all of you can relate to that. And truthfully, I bet nobody really knows anything. And you just figure it out as you go. I think I've learned that nobody's ever really an adult. Adults are just people that are winging it and can buy their own alcohol, I guess. But
that sounds like a pretty accurate definition of adulthood, I would say.
I think that needs to be a t-shirt, like adulthood. You can buy your own shit now.
Yeah.
Yes, Nicole.
Sorry, I'll get
on that.
Okay.
Just adding things to do.
Yeah. You're like, I should not come up with t-shirt ideas because I'm the one who makes them.
I love that every time she hears something and says, that should be a t-shirt, and then she stops and is waiting for one of us to go, I'll go ahead and get that made.
Not happening.
Nah.
Nicole needs to have a t-shirt that says that should be a t-shirt.
Oh, yes. Write that down, too.
That's adorable.
I love that. Oh,
so listen, now you've got the Adam romance novel cover.
I said I'm not doing that one. That's Adam. He can do that himself.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Weren't we going to do a photo shoot of that on an actual horse?
He was going to, yes.
Oh, okay. Got it.
Yeah.
All right. So then these 2 t-shirts. You got it, though?
I got it. And the Christmas cookies bikini one.
Oh, yes.
I was going to do that one.
Cookies bikini.
Yep. So.
Oh, such good ideas.
Yeah.
Flowing.
On it.
Wow.
Just flowing. Can I ask you, Kaley, what do you do? What's your job?
Well, I just got a new job in typical I'm almost 30 complicated fashion.
Yep.
So I kind of switched gears a little bit. I had about 6 years of sales and fundraising development experience, and I've switched to now being a director of alumni relations. So I'm working much more closely with marketing and communications teams and stewardship. So I'm no longer asking people for money.
Nice.
Well, that sounds fun.
Yeah, that's a nice change of pace. But I went from feeling like I knew what I was doing to now feeling like I don't know what I'm doing anymore. But being that I'm not fresh out of college, people expect me to kind of have it all figured out. But I don't have it all figured out. And again, you just get on that comparison game of social media and looking at all of these accomplishments and everybody's LinkedIn pages and what boards they're a part of and where they're volunteering their time. And I'm like, if I get out of bed after hitting snooze twice, I'm calling that a win.
I think that should be something you can add to your resume.
Yeah.
Especially in a pandemic year. I didn't drink 2 days this week. Can I add that to my resume?
Add that. That's legit. Yeah.
That makes you overqualified, I think.
That's right. I am not drunk in this meeting right now. Do I get a gold star? No?
Yeah.
I gotta say, I'm really feeling kind of good about my age right now, because at your age, there was no social media. I think that I never really thought about how that would be so hard to have and to constantly be seeing at that age when so many things are happening and you're on the verge of things. Ugh.
Oh, yeah. I mean, even we were fortunate we were able to purchase a home a couple of months ago, but even that, how horrible of me to be blessed enough to be able to purchase a home, and yet I'm comparing myself to friends and acquaintances who are purchasing a home for $100,000 more than we're purchasing a home for, and thinking we're the same age. I feel like I applied myself more in school than they did. Why is this lopsided? But
I've had that thought so
Yeah.
many times.
I do have
also
to
knowing
say,
that I don't know their situation either. They could be, rolling in more debt than me, or maybe they, have some help from some other people, so it's hard, but it's a challenge.
yeah, that keeping up with the Joneses, social media comparison game, there's no way to win. You know, I feel like, everyone you see seems like they're doing better than you, but then also, of course, there's people that look at your feed and they're like, wow, you're really, I mean, I was talking to my sister just turned 30, and, we were having a conversation, and, she was just saying, there's a lot, about your life that just seems like you really have it all together. And I was like, is it the kids screaming in the background that makes you feel like that? Or, no, but I mean, of course, there's so much that people don't see, right? I did not post on social media last week when I, lost my shit and was, went from screaming to crying, and my mom was over helping me, and she's like, are you okay? And Nova says, Mommy's crying right now. This is not out of the normal. Of course I didn't post that. There's so much that people don't share, right? Because it's but we're all going through it.
Social media is not reality. It is not reality. Just remind yourself of that every day.
Yes.
Yeah. For sure. I was just listening to the podcast episode when you were comparing which generation you're a part of, and Grandma Carrie versus Dave Cole. And it was interesting listening to that. I think that kind of ties into this episode a little bit. And I've only known a life with social media.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what that's like to not have either a MySpace top 8 or a Facebook wall to compare myself to. So that definitely makes growing up a little more challenging in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And
MySpace
especially, I know, I miss
Tom,
that.
don't we?
I do. I was thinking about him randomly.
I don't know what that means.
What's Tom up to these days?
Probably still sitting in front of that whiteboard.
Yes.
Yeah.
What?
Oh dear. And I, just to jump on that too, I will say the wedding industry, all of the expectations that has happened due to social media, due to Pinterest, due to, doing the bridesmaids, you have to give them a gift in order to ask them to be bridesmaids. That whole extravagant social media event is daunting. And I would just also say, do what you want to do. It's not about social media. It's not about what other people want. You do what you want to do, and then that's what you'll remember later.
Yes, this wedding has to reflect who you are, and you will always be happy then thinking about it and looking back on it.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, for sure. It does make it hard because you feel like if you're not doing it how everyone else is doing it, you're doing it wrong. And quite frankly, I don't want to spend $4,000 on a videographer, but if I don't have that perfect 7-minute highlight clip to share on Facebook, did I really get married? It's that's the stuff that I'm like, this is silly. I don't wanna, but I feel like I have to because that's what everybody else is doing. So I got to follow suit, but I won't be spending $4,000 on a videographer.
So it's funny. So we used to do wedding photography. I say used to because we've decided we're not doing wedding photography anymore. But as wedding photographers, when we got married, we did not hire a videographer. We just we had a camcorder we passed around and let our friends video. And shameful secret, we have now been married 6 years. This will be 7 years, and I've never seen the video.
Oh, wow.
We've never, ever watched it. I occasionally flip through the pictures.
Yeah.
but I've never watched the video.
Good
I
to
have to
know.
say, I didn't care what anybody else was doing in their wedding. I was like super excited to just make it about us, and it was definitely a really unique wedding, because we were both fully like knew what we wanted, and it had nothing to do with the outside world. And I'm still just to this day so happy with it, you know?
That's good. That's really good.
Well, can you tell us a little bit more about what you did?
Well, yeah, I mean, it was really tiny. Sure. It was tiny. Like, we're both just like
like 50 people or
quiet.
what's tiny?
No, it was just basically like our closest family and a couple of our closest friends.
Aw,
And we did it in the Capitol building.
nice.
Just like
nice.
had a lawyer come meet us there and just did it there. And then we went across the street and had like a lunch. We like rented out the top floor of the restaurant across the street. We just walked across the street and went upstairs and had lunch. And then we went to my mom's house and played board games.
Okay, well, that sounds awesome.
I love that.
Yeah, my cake
Aw.
was funfetti and it had llamas on top of it.
That sounds
So-
awesome.
It's
Yeah.
all so great and perfect. And, you know, there were reasons for funfetti and llamas and all that. You know, it was just like very representative of who we were and are. And
Yeah.
that's what it's all about.
Llamas.
Love it.
Llamas and funfetti and board games.
And board games.
What all successful marriages are based off of.
Yep.
Yes, llamas, confetti, and board games. As you can see from my collection of board games behind me, we are also all about the board games.
And very happily married, obviously.
Obviously.
And
Let
don't
me
watch our
ask you
wedding
this.
video.
Let me ask you this question, to tie it back to the theme of the topic. What would you, and everyone's, a different age when they get married, or even if that's the choice that they decide to make with their life, but what would you tell your engaged selves or your pre-married selves about marriage that maybe would be great advice for me to take as I embark on this next chapter?
Hmm.
I would say always remember and be grateful for the things that the other person is contributing, because it sometimes, especially after you have kids, it starts to feel like, oh my God, I'm doing like all this and I'm taking care of the kids and I'm cleaning the kitchen. But then I'm like, oh, he's like doing all the bills. He'll shovel when it snows. Like he does all this stuff that I don't want to do at all. Like you feel like it kind of falls on you. It's not. If you're in the right partnership, then everyone is pitching in and you just have to think about that. It's just that there's a lot of work to be done. You just don't realize how much it is. So yeah, just be grateful for what the other person is doing.
And probably point that stuff out a little bit too, because I know
Yes.
I like when I get a kudos for doing something.
Yeah.
Notice, so
Definitely.
Oh, I thought you meant the reverse of like pointed out when they're not doing it. Like, come on, I thought you said shovel. Come on.
And damn it, do the dishes.
And then
Yes, I
after-
like your way better.
Yes, that seems good.
Yeah. I'll piggyback off of you, Carrie. I agree. It was told to us before we got married that it's never 50-50. That's never how it's going to be. It's always going to be a give and take. So sometimes you're giving a 20 to relationship. Sometimes you're giving 80. Like it's never 50%. And I think that's the beauty of marriage is you pick up the slack. In turn, it equates to 100%, but there are going to be times when you both need either a break or you both need something. So that's my-
Yeah, I like the way you worded that. Yeah.
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 I would say the best advice I've ever been given, and probably the most impactful in our relationship, is never worry about who's right.
Yes.
And I think that when you have to be right, or the other person has to be right, whatever it is that you're having a conversation about, arguing about, whatever, you feel like you're on two teams and you're fighting, and one person is going to win and one person is going to lose. But the truth is, you are a partnership and the goal is for both of you to win, right? And the way to win is to say, look, there is a problem here and we need to figure out a solution. And it's not about who's right. It's just about us figuring out what the solution is. And so I think giving up the idea of having to be right has been wildly beneficial for us because it's just better conversations, right? We're really talking about stuff and it's not about you leaving your ego out of it. And that's always the hardest part, right? Like it's a marriage. It's not a Facebook comment section.
Yes.
It's good.
That is wise.
Kaley, I hope you're learning things because I am.
Oh, yes.
Me too.
I'm taking lots of notes. Yes.
If I could go back to me before I got married, the day before I got married or whatever, I would tell myself that all of the hangups that I have over marriage, whether it be from my parents' shitty marriage that ended or just like the bullshit from Hollywood and movies and TV, like all of that shit that what you think marriage is, it's not. And those things that have affected your life in real ways don't have to affect your marriage. Just because those things are true of those other marriages doesn't make it true of marriage in general. And the sooner you can get over that, the sooner, Adam, you're going to be able to like actually be married and know what it means to be married. And then I would also tell him to invest in Zoom in February of 2020.
Yes.
Right about the middle of October 2020.
Oh, if only we could do that.
Oh my goodness, we would all be rich.
I'm really glad you said that though, Adam, because, and I don't mean for anyone listening to this podcast to get the wrong idea, because I love my partner. I think he's great. I'm happy to, be his wife someday. But you do, again, in that comparison game and watching the movies and seeing the TV shows and seeing everybody's lovey-dovey posts on Facebook back and forth, you can't help but think like, gosh, their relationships are perfect, or this is how a marriage really should be. And am I with the right person? Because we don't do X, Y, and Z, or we don't have special date nights, and he likes to spend hours on his computer over the weekends, and I like to watch my trash reality TV, and because we're not spending all of our time together, are we not supposed to be together? It's weird, man.
Do not spend all of your time together.
Yeah.
No. Yep.
The last thing you want to do.
Yes.
I have found, I think I talked about this in previous episodes, but one of the main things that has helped us is we devote one day a week where we make sure to get out and see our own friends by ourselves. Like we have our own day, whether that be back in the day when I could actually walk into Target and not feel scared. Like I could just walk into Target and like take my time coming home and like just browse, or I could meet up with one of my girlfriends, go out to dinner with her, or like go to a movie. Like I had one day a week that I could devote to getting back to fulfilling relationships like outside the marriage, like friendships and all that stuff. And then he had one too, like he always did trivia nights and all this stuff. So I think that in general is really helpful because Carrie's right. You don't want to spend 24/7. Like if the quarantine has showed anything, it's that it's hard spending 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for every single week ever with your family is very stressful and hard.
And
The other day, I was like, "Oh my God, don't you dare whistle again! Don't whistle."
Or you could argue about who gets to go shovel.
Right. Yeah.
No, it's me. I want to go outside, please.
Yes. This is very true.
Well, Kaley, we're just about at the end of our time, but I'm curious. You said you've been a listener from the beginning. How did you find us?
Honestly, it was just by happenstance. I was kind of friends with somebody on, I think it was Instagram or Snapchat, and they had posted that I need to listen, or their followers need to listen to what their badass coworker is up to, and that they're starting a podcast. So I took the bait.
Fun.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It worked. The bait.
No, but I'm sure glad I found you girls, because what a year we've all had. And I have to say, Wednesdays have been an awesome, awesome day for me. I have your podcast I know to look forward to. It's the first thing I do when I wake up. I check to see what the topic's going to be about, and I let myself listen to it in the car, and I feel like we're friends in that way. I appreciate you all taking time out of your lives and away from your families to bring a little bright spot to my week every week.
Oh my gosh, that was the sweetest thing
I feel like I'm going to cry.
I will also say, I'll echo Danny's comment too. I feel like in 5 years, once you get the handle of this next stage, I'm pretty sure you could probably come back to us and then give us advice, because you do seem like you have your head on your shoulders. You're in a great mindset. You're going to rock this. I just know it. So come back and give us advice.
Yeah, girl.
I will come back anytime.
Together. Like you, this whole time I'm like, this girl's got it on lock. She's
right?
There's nothing to be worried about right now.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Agreed.
Awesome. Well, if you, like Kaley, want to find us on social media, you can find us on Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter at Women AF Podcast. You can find our videos of the recordings and some other fun behind-the-scenes stuff and some cool exclusive merch on patreon.com/Women AF Podcast. And you can also find us on our website, womenafpodcast.com. We are Women AF, and we know you are too.
Women AF is produced by Mortar Media and engineered by Adam Rostad. Intro and outro music is SQZ by Shane Ivers. Check him out at silvermansound.com. And don't forget to subscribe and leave a review.